So, what do we think about 9/11?
It was a setup. And now you just said Carrie said that, that pisses me off. I mean, we already all know it, but now with him saying that, there's evidence. You have somebody that ran for the president of the United States that says that he knows it was demolition.
Right.
And that's never been said before. And the people that did the 9/11 book never had tons of people testify. Hundreds of people didn't testify that had vital information. Just like the guy that saw the black boxes from the airplanes. He's never testified. He was on Jesse Ventura. I don't know if you ever saw that. They found the black boxes. And then why isn't there any wreckage? This is what scares me, though. There's no wreckage at Pennsylvania. No wreckage at Pentagon.
The Pentagon, right.
They proved that it was a different plane because it had a fuselage or something at the bottom of one of the planes that wasn't the original plane. What did they do with all those people?
Exactly.
Did they just murder them? Take them off somewhere and say, this is something going on, and they go to that place and they murder all of them? Because they can't ever let one of them go.
There is no doubt our government will murder us in a heartbeat if it furthers their agenda. We are nothing to them. Nothing at all.
I know it's sad to think over 3,000 people, a lot of them servicemen, firemen, first responders, police officers, were just instantly disintegrated in the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
I guess what's interesting is the fact that the Twin Towers fell in something like 13 seconds.
I bet all three of you guys can remember exactly where you were.
Crying. Yeah. Writing the judge, begging him to let me give blood at least. He won't.
I didn't take my student out for recess because he was having a bit of a meltdown morning. So I had him in a classroom that didn't have a TV, and one of the first grade teachers came by and said, "Hey, did you hear what happened?" I said, "No," and she told me. So I took my student and went to an empty classroom. The kids were out for recess, turned the TV on, and watched the second tower fall in real time. And I was shaking. I was so mad. And I looked over at my student, who was autistic, blissfully unaware of what was going on. And the rest of the day, I walked around the school looking at all those young kids going, they don't know it, but their life just changed. They don't know it. And I kept everything that came in my mailbox, in the office. All the teachers have mailboxes, all the stuff that came from the central business office and everything. I kept all that paperwork. I have a stack of it at home. What we could and couldn't say to the students, and how we should act around the students and the parents if questions are asked, and blah, blah, blah. But by the end of the school day of 9/11, there was less than half of the kids still in school. Most of the parents had come and picked their kids up.
Yeah.
What about you, Courtney? What do you think?
I was in 6th grade. And
wow.
I was in my classroom.
Man, I'm rocking the cradle.
And I remember, I think somebody came over the loudspeaker and said, turn on the TV or something. So they turned the TVs on and we watched it. And I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew it was serious.
I don't think they still let kids watch that.
And then I think we had to go in the hallway and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Really?
Yeah. And then I think we got sent home. I think the buses came and took us all home.
Talk about brainwashing. They made you go do the Pledge of Allegiance after that because
I think it was that day. It was so long ago I don't remember, but yeah. I remember having to go out in the hallway and say the Pledge of Allegiance or something. And then we got sent home.
The school system is nothing but one big indoctrination program. The hidden agendas, the hidden curriculum in schools, they say that it doesn't exist, but it does. What days do we close our schools? Only on Christian holidays. We don't close them for any other religious holidays, only Christian holidays. We close the doors to our schools then, but that's it. The other holidays, and I know I worked in the school system for a long time, some of the other holidays from some of the other religions may get a mention, but that's it. That's it.
Well, like Martin Luther King Day, they only do that just because. They really don't give a crap. I'm not racist. Martin Luther King, I admire what he did. It took a lot of balls knowing. He knew that he was going to get killed. Basically, that's what I'm doing. And, in a way, with something different. And he, it's just like, but now, they think that just because they, I don't know, that holiday is a big deal in school now, and I don't get it. I don't know. In my opinion, it shouldn't be a big day because there's a lot of people that did some great things. They don't have holidays. Well, no, they have
If
a
someone breaks into your home and you don't kill them and you shoot them in the leg, they can sue you.
I don't know
If
about
someone
that.
breaks into my house, right, in the middle of the night, I sleep with an AR-15 with an arm's reach in my bed,
Yeah.
and it's fully loaded with 30
He's trying to say he'll be dead.
If they're going to be dead before they hit the floor, because I'm not going to stop pulling that trigger until I put at least 8 or 9 rounds in them.
Yeah.
And the military spent an awful lot of time, energy, and money training me on that weapon. I wore an expert badge on my dress greens. I don't miss with that.
Yeah.
I don't miss. I'll just unload a few rounds at them.
Somebody can break in your house and break a window and cut themselves and sue you. Yeah, there's those things. But they just changed a couple years ago the law for self-defense. So now you do have that law. You never used to.
Can they still sue you if you shoot them in the leg and don't kill them?
It really depends on the situation. I don't know the answer to that.
No, you have stand your ground laws in Michigan.
Now
you can shoot them in the leg, call 911 and say, I just shot someone in the leg. He broke into my house and I defended myself and I'm holding him right here. And as long as he doesn't try to run away, he's got a bullet wound in the leg. If he tries to run away, I'm going to shoot him again.
Well, and you have to be careful about what you just said too, because they would say that if he tried to run away, that you actually weren't in danger anymore.
Yeah, you can't shoot somebody in the backside.
And well, I'm just worst case scenario.
I'll just kill them and call it good.
I'm just going to say, if someone breaks into my house, they're not going to live through the incident. Anyone stupid enough to break into my house is not going to live through
Yes, sir. But be careful what you say if anything ever happens, because if you say he tried to leave and I shot him, then they would use that against you. So just be careful with your wording. That's all I was suggesting.
Say the son of a bitch was coming up my stairs.
And
there you go.
I heard him talking
and
about
I was scared.
doing us in
Exactly. If you say I was scared for my life,
that's right.
Even being a teacher, my high school coach, every year at the beginning of the school year, he tells his students, and he gets away with this. He says, if any of you ever touch me, I have the legal right to hurt you. He says, because the law says that if I feel threatened, I can protect myself.
Yep.
And so it scares the kids, because a lot of kids think that, oh, you can't do nothing to me. Well, he makes it out he puts it in a different way that I can do something.
I told my wife, I said, if someone breaks into the house and they're on the outside of the bedroom door and you can hear them out there talking and they're being malicious in their speech, I said, don't even wait for them to open the door. If you're holding an AR-15, just start shooting rounds right through that door. I said, I can replace the door. So just fire that door right up.
Right.
Now, did you teach autistic kids?
Yes. Yes, very low functioning, nonverbal.
Nonverbal autistic kids. That
yes,
means
yes, the violent type. Worked with them for years.
Did you ever do any autistic research?
Well,
Want some pineapple, sweetie?
yes. I mean,
like as to the cause of autism?
as to the cause, they still don't know what causes autism.
I think a lot of it comes from the
There are some people that lean towards
shots.
genetics and some people that lean towards environment. Now, I do happen to believe that there's the huge genetic component, because I know of a family in Ludington where they have 2 sons and both of them have autism. And,
Okay.
and this part of West Michigan, there's this part of West Michigan around Mason County, Ludington. There's a spot in Massachusetts, and there's a spot in Oregon. And those 3 spots are the 3 hot spots in the United States. They have the highest incident of autism. We have an extremely high rate of autism around this part of West Michigan. So It might be environment. It might be one of the chemical plants. We have a Dow plant in Leadington and stuff like that, Dow Chemical. It might be environment, or it might be a bit of, it might be if you have a genetic predisposition to autism or a high functioning Asperger's type syndrome, that some environmental factor might push you over the edge. You know, might be a combination of the
You
two.
have that nuclear plant that's leaking there on Lake Michigan, down by Chicago too.
Right. Do you think? What's your opinion on that and vaccines? The connection to vaccines.
I don't think the vaccines are causing the autism. I don't think the vaccines that they claim that they're giving you are causing autism. But I have a whole different take on vaccines. I don't think vaccines contain what they say they're going to contain. They may contain what they say they're going to contain, plus something extra. And then they monitor that group of people to see what happens to them. Our government done that type of thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Right.
As an example, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, you know,
Right.
where they did that with the black men and then just monitored them for the next 20 or 30 years. They didn't even fess up to that until the 70s.
They poisoned.
So I don't think that the vaccinations that we're getting, including the flu shots they give people, I
Well-
don't think that they contain exactly what they say they're going to contain. They might contain something extra.
They say more people that get the flu shot actually get the flu now.
My wife is a nurse, and she wouldn't think of getting a flu shot, wouldn't consider it.
How?
Won't let me have it either.
Yeah, but she's a nurse and they force her or they'll fire her.
They can't force anybody.
My wife isn't working out on the floor anymore. She's teaching.
They do. We have to.
They can't force you. There's
They can't force me, but they can let me go.
right.
Well, they can find another reason to let you go, but they will find a reason to let you
Yeah.
go if you're non-compliant.
You have to have the.
What do you think about the rate of autism increasing at the same rate of the amount of vaccines needed for children increased? From
I don't understand the question.
From 1982 to the present day, the amount of vaccines that children need in the United States has almost tripled, and the autism rate has followed suit with that.
The assumption in that statement is the amount of vaccines needed has doubled. How do we know that? That's an assumption. How do we know the need for those vaccines has doubled? They say we need them, but we're taking their word on it, so that's quite an assumption.
I understand it, but that's not the answer I was looking for, because you have to go.
Honey,
Yeah.
can you go get the prunes out of there?
They're saying that they're needed. They're actually
Go ahead.
mandated.
Scared?
You?
I know.
Are you
I
scared?
know.
But you can get the waiver form and not have them.
Yes, you can.
But
yes, you can.
of the people who do get them, because they're uneducated on the fact that they can get the waiver form,
Yep.
okay, those who have gotten the vaccines that have increased since 1982 to the present day, the autism rate has matched the same rate as the amount of vaccines mandated has increased. The autistic rate has also increased. And on the contrary to that, because I do a lot of autism research, and this is
So the vaccine and the increase of autism, they're at a linear pace.
exactly.
Yeah.
And here when I throw this out to people, this is where they argue with me, okay? Because right now, for American boys, the autistic rate is 1 in 44 for autistic boys.
Yep.
Well, not for autistic boys. For boys to get autism or Asperger's is 1 in
High-functioning
44
Asperger's,
right now. Overall, it's 1 in 76 right now, I do believe.
Yep.
Do you know what the rate is for Amish people?
For autism,
Yes.
well, the rate is probably fairly low.
It's 1 in 287 children.
But there's other factors involved in that. A lot of poor white Americans of all backgrounds take their kids to the doctors. I think there's an awful lot of misdiagnosed cases of they diagnose kids with high functioning Asperger's syndrome. It's the latest go-to.
Right.
Now, when I was a kid back in the 60s, Michigan was hot on labeling kids with ADHD.
Right.
Everybody
Right.
had ADHD.
Right.
If the